35% upgrade almost nobody can actually see is costing anglers hundreds of dollars. That's number 7 on this list, and it's the cheapest trick in the whole catalog. Garmin's own press release built an entire product launch around that number, the Plus transducer, the one every guy at the ramp now thinks he has to have. But the older transducer it replaced does, in my honest opinion, about 90% of the same job for hundreds of dollars less. Here's what took me a while to piece together. That $3,000 number the dealer quotes you isn't one price. It's a stack of 7 separate markups, each one banking on you not knowing what's sitting underneath it. 3 corporations own almost everything on the shelf, and one single part of the rig does all the actual magic. Remember that, because it's the only thing on the invoice for its full price, and it comes back at the end. So by the end, you'll know the 7 things they count on you overpaying for, the 4 moves that get you the same fish-finding power for a fraction, and the one component that's the only piece you should never cheap out on. Number 7, like I said, is the Plus tags. Garmin launched live sonar back in 2018, the technology that shows you fish and your own lure moving in real time, even sitting still. It changed fishing, no argument from me. Then in 2022, they released the upgraded transducer, the LVs34, and the press release promised, quote, 35% improved target separation. A company executive even bragged you could now see your fishing line. That full live system listed at $1,700. The transducer by itself, $1,200. But here's the part they don't put on the box. The unit it replaced, the LVs32, does the same core job inside about 100 feet of water, which is exactly where you fish. When one big retailer dropped the older transducer to $1,000, a buyer said it better than I could. From all accounts, he wrote, there's not much real gain in the new one over the old one. 35% on paper, barely noticeable on the water. That's number 7, and we're just warming up. Number 6 is the touchscreen tax, and this one's almost insulting once you spot it. Humminbird sells 2 product lines that most anglers treat as different worlds, the Helix and the pricier Solix. But pull the spec sheets and lay them side by side. Identical dual-spectrum chirp sonar, identical GPS receiver, the same preloaded base maps. The Solix adds a touchscreen, a sharper resolution, a prettier interface, and slightly cleaner returns, and for that you pay around $600 more. Same sonar engine, same fish in the same water. You're not buying a better fish finder. You're buying a better looking one. And honestly, with wet hands and a bouncing boat, plenty of guys say they'd rather have the buttons anyway. Number 5, the networking tax. Garmin runs the same exact play with its 2 lines, the ECHOMAP and the higher tier GPS map. Independent comparisons put it plainly, the 2 share very similar sonar, the same chirp, the same down and side imaging. But what the expensive line adds is 1,000-watt deep water sonar, radar support, dual Ethernet ports, an extra card slot, and satellite weather. That bundle of extras costs you $500 to $1,000 more per unit. And if you fish a lake from a bass boat, you will use exactly none of it. You're paying for a yacht's nervous system to find crappie in 15 feet of water. Now pause, because 3 names keep showing up and I want to connect them for you. There are really only 3 companies here. Garmin, then Navico, which owns Lowrance, Simrad, and the CMAP charts, and got bought by Brunswick back in 2021 for $1.05 billion. And Johnson Outdoors, which owns Humminbird, the Lakemaster Maps, and Minn Kota Trolling Motors. But it goes deeper than who owns what. Most of the conventional transducers, the standard sonar parts bolted onto all these different brands, trace back to one supplier, a New Hampshire company called Airmar. On its own website, Airmar calls itself the primary supplier of ultrasonic transducers to the marine industry, and its distribution arm calls itself the largest worldwide. So a premium branded sonar transducer is frequently the same Airmar part with a brand-specific plug on the cable. And back in 2018, Garmin and Navico ended a patent fight by cross-licensing their sonar technology to each other. That's the real reason Lowrance's live sonar could legally follow Garmin's so closely. Now I have to be straight with you, because this audience checks, and you should. The fancy live sonar transducers themselves are proprietary, brand by brand. Airmar makes the regular stuff, not those. But the bigger picture doesn't change. Different logos, shared plumbing, one short list of factories, and which brands run the fastest forced upgrade cycles. I keep all that in a file, because once you see it on one unit, you start seeing it on all of them. And look, if you've made it this far, you already know this channel isn't here to talk you into the priciest box on the wall. It's here to show you what's actually inside it. Subscribe if that's your kind of thing. We do one of these every week. Okay, back to the list. Number 4, the range tax. Garmin sells an extended range live transducer, the LVS62, launched in 2022, in a system that runs right around $3,000. The transducer alone is about $2,500. It pushes your view out to 350, even 500 feet. Sounds incredible. But up close, where you actually hook fish, its detail is about the same as the standard transducer that costs far less. So unless you're fishing deep saltwater or offshore structure, you're buying hundreds of feet of range you'll never once look at. For a lake angler, that's the most expensive feature you will never use. Number 3, the map card tax. And this is the one I hear about in the comments constantly. The premium regional chart packs can run over $300. And anglers buy the priciest one, assuming priciest means most accurate. But when someone actually tested the two big map brands across 10 different lakes, the accuracy split roughly 50-50. Neither one. One was sharper on some lakes, the other on the rest. And one of those brands only works on one make of unit anyway, so part of what you're buying is staying locked in. So the smart play is simple. Buy the cheaper card that's accurate for your specific water, not the $300 Continental pack you'll use 4% of. Which card got oversold to you? Drop it in the comments, I read them. Number 2, the buy it now, buy it new tax. A Garmin sales executive told the Associated Press a full setup runs about $2,500. Industry coverage of complete installed rigs puts the real out-the-door number anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. But that price assumes you walk onto the dealer floor, point at the newest box on the wall, and pay the sticker the same day you stand there. Every dollar of that is the easiest dollar they make all year, because the gear was never actually worth the sticker. The sticker was worth the moment you walked in unprepared. Which brings me to number 1, the most expensive markup of all, and it isn't even a feature. It's the calendar. The exact same gear gets dumped on a schedule, and they bank hard on you not knowing the dates. This past Black Friday, a Garmin ECHOMAP Ultra 2 bundle with the live transducer dropped $1,350, down to $2,600. A Humminbird Mega Live trolling motor unit fell just over $1,000. A top Humminbird big screen unit dropped almost 40%. And nothing changed about those machines between October and November. The only thing that changed was the date on the calendar. So the single biggest markup on a fish finder isn't the screen, or the chip, or even the brand. It's walking in on the wrong week of the year. And that right there is the whole game laid out flat. So that's the 7. And yes, I know I've just spent this whole video telling you what not to buy, so let's fix that. Because the point was never to scare you off good electronics. Live Sonar is genuinely the best fishing tool invented in my lifetime. And I'd put real money on that. The point was to show you that the part doing the magic is one single component, and almost everything stacked on top of it is screen, networking, range you won't use, a map you overpaid for, and a calendar you were never shown. So here's the other side. 4 moves. This is how you get the $3,000 setup for under $1,000, and every one of them is completely legitimate. Move 1, the easiest one, just time it. The new models get announced every July at the big industry trade show, and the next one runs July 14th through 17th. The second those launch, last year's flagship gets cleared out. Then, the online sales days in July and October knock down prices again. Then, Black Friday finishes the job in November. You saw the numbers a second ago. Over $1,000 off real bundles. No haggling required. Boat shows and end-of-season clearances do the same thing in the winter. The honest caveat, the best deals sell out fast. So the move is to know exactly which unit you want before the date hits. Not to wait around hoping for a deeper cut that never shows up. Patience on the calendar is the discount. Move 2, and this is the heart of the whole strategy, buy the last generation transducer and pair it with a cheap big screen. You do not need the newest plus transducer. You need the one right before it, the LV-SUS32, the one that does 90% of the job. Then instead of a flagship display, you bolt it to a discounted older ECHOMAP, or even a bare large screen unit that's basically just a monitor for the Sonar, often around $1,200 and a fantastic live display. The magic comes from the transducer, not the box it plugs into. But here's the caveat that matters most. Check compatibility before you buy. The newest transducer won't pair with the older displays, but the older transducer pairs with a whole pile of cheaper units. That exact mismatch is the loophole. You're assembling the rig they sell as one expensive bundle for the price of its separate parts. Move 3. Factory refurbished. The move most people are scared of for no real reason. A factory remanufactured live system sells for right around $950 against a $1,500 original. But these aren't somebody's broken returns. They're tested back to factory spec. And a refurbished Lowrance unit often ships with a brand new transducer and a full 1-year warranty. There's one thing you absolutely must get right here though, that 1-year warranty only kicks in when you buy from an authorized dealer. Buy a random open box off the internet and you might get 90 days, or you might get nothing. So the caveat is simple. Confirm the seller is authorized and get the warranty length in writing. Do that, and Refurbished is the best straight-up value in this entire hobby. And move 4. The gold standard. The cheapest of all if you'll do a little homework. Buy used off the upgrade churn. Tournament anglers and serious fishermen upgrade constantly, and one pro pointed out that 4 electronics units per boat is now normal. One recent survey found about 30% of anglers run live sonar now, and on a single lake last fall the rate hit 63%. All those people upgrading flood the used market with last year's flagships. A complete used live sonar setup runs roughly $900 to $1,250 against $1,700 new, and year-old units go for about half retail on the fishing forums. But this is where you slow down and pay attention. Get the serial number before you hand over a cent. Garmin flags stolen units in its system and will refuse to update a flagged device, which basically bricks it. So you check that serial, you get a written bill of sale, and you pay with something that has buyer protection. And the simplest rule of all, if a seller won't give you the serial number up front, you walk away. That refusal is the whole answer. So here it is in one line. The fish-finding magic lives in one component, the live transducer. And everything else on that $3,000 invoice is screen, networking, range you'll never use, a map you overpaid for, and the date you walked in. That's the part I told you to remember, and now you know why. You understand something the guy paying full sticker at the counter doesn't. A real, capable, live sonar rig comes in around $1,000 to $1,200, all in. Every single time if you buy the right part, refurbished or used, and you buy it on the right day. The dealer floor was never the only door. It was just the most expensive one, and you don't have to walk through it anymore. One quick thing, and then I'll let you go. Nobody pays me to point at a brand, no sponsors, no dealer deals. That's the whole reason I can say any of this. If you want the unit-by-unit version, which transducers cross over, how to price a used rig so you don't overpay, it's in the Marine Electronics Survival Guide. One bad upgrade runs you several $100s. The guide's $20. Once, you already got today's answer free either way. But if you want it, the code's on screen or the link's in the description and pinned comment. Next time, we pull apart the trolling motors, and you're going to want to see how many of the biggest names roll off the very same line. YouTube thinks you'll like this next video, so go ahead and click it. And if you made it all the way to the end, do yourself a favor and subscribe.